In the UK, many young people tend to leave the comfort of their sixth form and venture off to university in order to broaden their life opportunities, learn skills, and gain qualifications for the job market. But in the last 15 years, university fees are getting higher and alternative opportunities are appearing, and there's a big discussion around whether university is still considered the best option for young people after compulsory education. We wanted to find out what people really thought about young people's options in entering the adult world. We spoke to sixth form teachers and advisors, a university student, a young person already pursuing the world of work, and students currently in sixth form to see what they thought was the best option out there.
Having a degree allows me to get a higher place in my career rather than someone else who doesn't have a degree.
I want to do tattoos, but I don't really need that. But I just kind of want to have a backup option, just a degree. I want to have a master's in fine art, drawing, probably.
Yeah, I want to further my education, do something different than art at a different level.
Yes, because I feel like it gives me a path. I'm not ready to stop education fully at the moment. I want to continue learning, and I feel like it's a good path to go down for a job that I want to go to, a route that I want to take. I feel getting a degree is probably, in myself, I feel like going that way is the best deal.
Because I'm interested in art and I want a career in art, and I think that's the best way to do it.
I'm not going to uni, and because I don't really want to specialise in anything, so I don't really see the point.
I'm going to university and I'm planning to study languages, Polish, English and Russian, to do translating. I want to go to uni because it was kind of expected of me, but I wanted to do it for myself as well.
I'm planning to go to university, and I would like to go because I would like to develop, my skills in marketing and be able to take my knowledge of media to the world.
Because I feel like I could just learn a lot more, and it's got the subjects I want to do for uni, so it seems like a good option.
I've applied to it and I've got into all the ones that I applied for, but I don't really know if I'm going to go because money and another 3 years of education is not looking like a thing to do.
So as well as being an English teacher, I am the UCAS coordinator, is my job title, so obviously that involves processing UCAS applications, but it obviously involves a lot more than that, from the beginning of year 12, supporting people thinking about their choices, through progression week, and then through the application process in year 13, and then obviously continuing to results day and beyond.
So I became a UCAS assistant this year, which basically means working with Miss McGowan and the rest of the year 13 team.
Although my job is UCAS coordinator, I work closely with the sixth form team, and so we also give information, advice and guidance about the world of work, apprenticeships, art college and uni, and we look at very much what's best fit for that particular individual.
Aside from just helping students with their personal statements, I guess the more pleasurable and interesting bit is to give advice where needed about kind of the courses they might choose to do, and the kind of difficult choices that they're having to make based on what they think they're going to get at A-level and where they think they want to live the next few years of their lives.
Would you say that university is probably the best option for young people when leaving school?
I think that really depends on the young person, and yeah, I would never give that as blanket advice.
There's two sides. Partly academia is interesting because it allows you to still talk about books and talk about art and talk about your interests in a way that you don't necessarily if you go into a work, the work straight away. Even if that job was curating a museum, which obviously you're not going to get without having been to university, but even if it wasn't a job in an artistic or I guess it might be different with the sciences, but in a field that you are really passionate about, you'd still have pressures of having to meet the criteria for that job. So even if it's public sector, there'll be certain pressures. So I guess being in university allows you to discuss things purely for the joy of discussing them. And on the other side, possibly more importantly, gives you quite a safe environment to practice being an adult. So like beginning to pay rent, but actually not being solely responsible for that necessarily. You know, beginning to manage your own time more, living away from home. So those, I think, are some of the most important, were some of the most important things for me, and are probably, you know, I guess why then you have to question, is it worth all the debt that you incur for doing that, if that's the primary function?
I'm strongly against tuition fees, but it is the world we live in, and it has to be a factor. I think you need to think about the value of your degree. You need to think carefully about where you're going and what you're doing and what it's going to get you.
I think generally speaking, if you look at the comparison of wages between graduates and non-graduates, that's still definitely been worth it. I don't know how that stacks up with certain degrees that might not have as much value, maybe. You know, maybe if you do a vocational degree and then you're saddled with a lot more debt than I was, 30 odd grand or so, and actually you could have got into that industry without getting a degree, then that starts to become much less worth it, I guess.
The interesting thing that I've noticed is since the fees, I mean, I saw fees come in and then I saw them go up to 3,000 and now I've seen them go up to 9,000.
Right, yeah.
And never during that time have I ever seen it put anybody off. I think it's over 40% of students do go to university. But it's not for everybody. And it's been very, very difficult to get apprenticeships, you know, for as long as I've been doing this job. It's been much more difficult, actually, to get a job or an apprenticeship than to get into university. So for a lot of students, it's just university is just a kind of fallback when it's actually not really what they want to do. So if there is more funding and there are more apprenticeships available, I think that's really, really, really good thing.
Of course, what is important is that there are ways that people can get into fields that they're interested in. I think much like internships, you know, there's a danger if these things are unpaid. They become actually much more beneficial for the businesses themselves than for the young people.
There's certain professions and careers that are closed to you if you can't go to university. So, you know, you definitely need to go to university if you want to be a doctor, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a nurse, you want to be an architect, all those things. So, you know, everybody should have that opportunity if that's what they want to do. And, you know, also if you really enjoy study and you love study, then you should go to university. It's also actually a really good option if you don't know what you want to do, because it gives you 3 years to build some skills and to think about what you do want to do.
Making this decision is kind of a first stage of adulthood, and it's going to be you that has to live with that decision for the next 3 years, not your parents or anyone else that might have an opinion about it.
I would say you need to go back to what you enjoy and what you're good at, I think. And you need to balance those things.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much for letting us interview today. The first thing we want to ask you is, what is it you're doing after sixth form and what industry are you going to pursue?
I'd like to possibly get an apprenticeship, but I'm not 100% sure and I don't really know what in.
Okay, do you have any sort of ideas about what kind of thing you'd like to do?
Possibly media. I thought about media.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Sounds good. And why are you choosing an apprenticeship over university?
It's because I'm not really sure. There's not really anything that I want to specialise in, so I don't really see the point in going for 3 years to do something that I'm not really sure that I want to do, and then not use what I get out of it, and then kind of money would be a waste of money. So.
Yeah, okay. So I think our society kind of somewhat favours university, and I think a lot of young people are often encouraged by teachers and their families to pursue university. Did you feel this kind of pressure when you were making decisions about your future?
Not from my mum. My mum just told me to do what I wanted, whatever makes me happy. But when I actually came to sixth form, on the first day we had like a presentation, and it had like statistics of how many had gone to uni, how many hadn't, and the numbers were like greatly different. Right. So I never really thought about going to uni until then. So I kind of thought, oh, maybe I should be going because so many people do go. It wasn't because I wanted to. but because I just felt, I guess you could say, pressured to go because of the statistics.
Okay.
But so I did kind of want to go, but now I don't really want to again.
Right, okay. Did you receive any help in applying or researching apprenticeships, or do you think all of the kind of advice from school was kind of aimed towards university students?
I got a little bit. I think it was once or twice, and it was for like, I think it's called apprenticeships.org.
Okay.
Or something, but the apprenticeships on there are it's a very restricted amount because it's certain companies that are in partnership with the apprenticeships service, I guess you could say.
Right.
So it was kind of useful if that's what I wanted, but in what I would want to do, I guess you could say it wasn't really useful.
And that was a website that a teacher had directed you towards?
Yeah, yeah, and also we had someone actually came in from out of school to talk to us about it, and they're the one who actually gave the information out.
I see. Do you feel like if you're applying to university, you would feel kind of more, you would know exactly what you're doing rather than now you're doing apprenticeships, you seem a bit unsure. Do you think you'd know more if you were going to university?
Not really, because when it comes to apprenticeships, it's a bit tricky because you're encouraged now to look for what you're going to be doing when you leave sixth form, but you can't really go to an apprenticeship and be like, can you hold my place for 3 months?
Right,
because they're not going to take that. So it doesn't really matter, I guess you could say, because I can't actually apply now because they want you to start within a couple of weeks maximum, and then I just have to kind of wait till after before I can actually apply. Otherwise, they're going to kind of look at me like, how can you expect me to wait 3 months to employ you? So
yeah, which is obviously different with the university.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're gonna, like, there's anything you're particularly gonna miss out by not going to university?
Probably just the social aspect.
Just the social aspects, right?
Yes. Not, well, a little bit, not too much, I guess, because I mean, if you have friends that are going to go uni, then and you meet up with them, then there's still kind of the social aspect, but it's just not as intense, I guess you could say.
Do you feel like you'll have any advantages after doing an apprenticeship over people who have done higher education?
I don't know if it's really I guess you could say it's a bit of an advantage, but if you do an apprenticeship, in my mind, what I expect from it is for it to be more hands-on, when with uni, in my mind, is probably more written and school-like, and you study for your exam, and then you get your exam, but then in the same time period, kind of, I'll be getting more experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably as well why I chose more of an apprenticeship than a uni role, because I preferred that to be more experienced than to just be writing.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And you could also be like 3 years ahead of someone who joins after a university degree. So the government are currently funding and kind of encouraging apprenticeships at the moment. Do you think this is good?
Yeah, I think it's good because it gives other people other routes into getting the career that they want, because some people do find it difficult to write exams, to study for exams, but they could easily have the skills that are required for whatever they want to do, but just because they don't have a certain grade or course or whatever, they don't actually get the opportunity to do it. So then, I think it's good for everyone. Yeah.
Just before you go, could we just ask what advice you would give to someone at the same point in the decision process as you?
I'd say that they should just stick to what they want to do and not really let anyone try and get them to go onto a different route or anything. Just stay focused on what they want and not do something else just because someone else advised them to.
Great, thank you very much.
I don't want to be in debt for many years after going to university, but I realise I can slowly pay it off gradually and still end up with a degree, because I feel like the money's worth it if I want to get to where I want to get in my career.
It's a long-term decision, so I think it's worth it. And anyway, the debt is sort of evened out, obviously with the whole loans and everything over the years. It's sort of evened out, and even if you don't pay it off, it gets cancelled out.
Because I know I get the loan and stuff. Obviously, the cost is a really unfortunate thing, but I feel like what you get out of university completely puts the cost, like you can pay it back in your own time, or you don't even ever have to. So I think that's a great thing, but I think the opportunity should cost more than the cost of university.
Figured I'd probably go anyway, but it's still not good.
I don't have anything that I want to specialise in. I don't really see the point in going and getting in debt and spending a lot of money and stuff for something that I don't really want to do.
It scares me how much I have to pay, but I knew I would have to pay anyway if I went to uni.
It's the kind of thing, it's been like that for a while now. Everybody's had student loans. So it's the kind of thing where, and even like the way the student loans are set up, it's not really, it doesn't really penalise us.
It's not you're paying back like the 9,000 a year like straight away, so it's like it's gradual payback, so it's not too bad. But it is affecting my decision if I definitely want to go or not.
I don't want to be in debt, and I don't want to like have to like scrounge for like 3 years, but kind of. Where do you go to university and what course do you do?
I go to Canterbury Christchurch University and I'm studying primary education.
Where is it that you chose to go in the first place?
Because for what I want to do as a job, as a career, primary teaching, you have to have a degree, or it certainly helps. So that's why I chose to go to university.
Yeah. What are the advantages of going to university in your opinion? Like, what do you like most about it?
For some people, definitely not all, it gives them a chance to come out with a degree and a job at the end of it. But I mean, I know it's not this, that can't be said for all courses, but I mean mine in particular, I get almost guaranteed a job at the end of it.
This has influenced your decision. Like, what are the disadvantages of going to uni? Like, did you struggle with anything, and what didn't you like about it?
I think a big disadvantage for many people, including myself, is kind of being homesick and missing your family and friends. Because I know for myself, in the first couple of weeks of being there...
Did you feel social or personal pressure to go to university?
I didn't know, personally, because I kind of, well, for my career I kind of have to go to university, so that was a big influence, but there was no kind of social pressure for me to go.
Did you feel like any of your friends did?
Yeah, definitely some of my friends and people that I know, because they kind of had no idea what they were going to do with their life or no idea what they were going to do with their career. So kind of going to university was the only real option for them, because to kind of, I don't know, delay their life for a couple of years so they can kind of have an idea of what they're going to do and then have a degree especially to kind of support that. I missed my friends and family and my girlfriend in particular, because that was quite hard to kind of get used to the fact that I'm living away from home and living away from everything kind of thing. And I know I'm not too far out in terms of university, but that is definitely something that I struggled with.
Earn or spend your money. Like, do you find it difficult to get by?
I'm quite fortunate in that my grandparents, my parents kind of give me money to live by, but I know that some people kind of have to work for their money or sort of things like that, so it depends on kind of your luck really, I suppose. But no, I don't really struggle to get by. So.
Do you think like you're living like a livable, like healthy lifestyle on the money that you're on?
Yeah, I'd say that I am. Yeah.
And what about like the friends who aren't as fortunate as you? Do you think they're in the same way?
I would say yes, but sometimes I know that they can struggle, kind of thing, like with food shopping, sort of sometimes they don't have enough to get what they actually need to kind of use throughout a week, so.
Do you think university was the best option for the industry you wanted to go into?
Yeah, I would say. There are other ways of going into teaching and primary teaching especially, but having an actual degree and a baccalaureate is the kind of the best way to do it, so I would say yeah.
So did you ever think that of doing the other options, so like an apprenticeship or going into the world of work rather than going to uni?
At some point it did cross my mind that maybe uni wasn't for me, and I would just go straight into getting a job, but then I kind of realised that that was kind of in my case, not the right a way of doing things, not the right option for me, so not really. So. Do
you ever think that that thought that you have in your mind now might have been influenced by the schools you've been to? Because I know that in some of other students' experience, they felt like university was the only option because the schools give you all the information about it, whereas they don't do that quite as much with apprenticeships in the world of work.
I would agree to that, yeah. I mean, with the sixth form that I went to, they were quite good actually. As much as they supported people with university choices, they did have many and actually quite a lot of kind of apprenticeship open days where they had people invited in and to kind of encourage people, if that's what they wanted to do, that they could have support in that. So though, in terms of in my school environment, it was quite an equal balance between. But yeah, I would say that it can be a big influence. That school can be a big influence because schools do tend to focus on university education rather than jobs.
Yeah.
For me.
So do you have any additional advice or thoughts about the topic for maybe students who are going to university?
I would say definitely consider your options. So have a think about what you want to do and whether university is the best way to do it for you. So I mean, if you're in my situation, you want to become a primary school teacher, actually going and getting a degree in primary education is one of the best ways to do it. But if you wanted to become a plumber, say, maybe an apprenticeship is the correct route for you. So I mean, it genuinely depends on what you want to do. So I would say just carefully think about your options and go for the one that suits you best.
What are you planning to do after sixth form and why did you choose this?
I'm planning to do a apprenticeship in paralegal, so yeah.
Why did you choose apprenticeship over university?
I think it's my options, because my 3 options, they're all creative and I don't really want to be in that industry anymore at all. So I think that's like the best option for me.
Okay. Our society somewhat favours university and young people are often encouraged by teachers and family members to pursue higher education. Do you find some sort of pressure making these choices about your future?
Definitely, like for me personally, both of my parents didn't go to university, so they just kind of want to push it on us. Like I have 2 older siblings and they both went to university, so it's kind of like they have that idea that if you go to university, you're bound to get a better job, you're bound to get more money and stuff like that, and I'm just thinking that it's not always the case.
Did you receive any help applying or researching from your school? Did you actively pursue it out of school?
It was a bit of both. So what I did, I started researching it when I made that decision that I didn't want to go to university, and then I just, so I kept on researching it, and then I had a careers meeting with Maria in Talis, and she was really helpful. Like she gave me loads of websites. Like she gave me this website called Fast Tomato where you go on and you fill out a survey and it kind of gives you an idea of what you're good at, like subject wise. And she also gave me like a list of places where I could sign up and get my apprenticeships. Like there's like loads of government websites that will actually, you get put on like a waiting list, or like whenever there's like a job spec, you can apply for it for apprenticeship.
Okay. Is there anything you feel you particularly might miss out by not going to university?
I think the one thing that like in a way made me want to go to university is just for the experience, that idea of like independence.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what entices a lot of people to go, especially like if you live in like quite a strict household. It's kind of like you just do everything for yourself and you don't have to give a damn about what your parents say.
Yeah. What are the advantages, in your opinion, by choosing an alternative option to higher education? Do you feel like you have a one-up over university students?
In a way, yes, because I think a lot of times when people go to university, they tend to take like sandwiches just to build up that experience. Like say if you were going to take a course in like graphics, a lot of times people will take a sandwich year just to get experience, and then after university then they'll go out and get a job because they already had that experience, and if they don't it's kind of harder. So because I'm starting with apprenticeship straight away, I'm already gaining experience in a way. Like it's basically like I'm already finished uni and I just went in and actually worked.
Yeah.
But I'm gaining that experience as I do.
Do you think it's a good idea that the government are funding and encouraging apprenticeships now?
Yeah, because I don't think school's definitely for everyone. Like a lot of when I left secondary school, a lot of my friends didn't pursue further education because it just wasn't for them, and especially the grades that they got, like it's virtually impossible. Most of them are doing apprenticeships and they're actually doing well for themselves. And they enjoy it. So
just before you go, can we ask what advice do you have for a young person in the same boat as you?
What, in the sense if you're going to go to university or
at the stage of this decision?
Definitely think about what you think's best for you, not for others. Like you don't like, especially like your parents. They're your parents, but at the end of the day they're gonna have to accept the fact that if you don't want to go uni, you don't want to go uni. You shouldn't just acknowledge that they're your parents, so you have to follow what they want to do, what they want you to do. So pick what's best for you. Like if you think that you need to go university, go university. Like if you're gonna go like do medicine or something, you're gonna need to go uni. Like, but if not, like something that you think that you could have loads of other like alternatives, then try it.